Thanks so much for staying with us for Midday. The Huntsmans and Romneys, arguably two of the most powerful families here in the state of Utah, certainly when it comes to politics. A new book being released today tells about the rivalry between them. It's published by the Salt Lake Tribune, and authors Matt Canham and Thomas Burr are here with me to talk about it this morning. Appreciate you guys being here.
Thanks for having us.
So let's talk about this book. You guys are reporters for the Salt Lake Tribune. Is it based on your work covering the campaign and the two families?
Yeah, we tracked this for years since we've been covering these guys, and I think a lot of the stuff stays in your notebook. There's only so much you can get in a normal newspaper story, right?
Sure.
So over time, we've seen all this stuff, and there's a point where we decided we wanted to try something beyond the normal Sunday feature. We convinced our bosses to give us a shot at a book, and this is what we came up with.
And this isn't the first one, Thomas, because you were here back in November talking about a book that you guys put together on the campaign of Mia Love. Is this something we'll see more of in the future from a reporter standpoint, is putting these type of books together?
Yeah, that was actually, we did the Mia Love book. Matt was the lead author, with myself and Robert Gerke, between writing this book as well. And we'll see. This was something we wanted to have an experiment in long-form journalism and tell a story that we couldn't convince our paper to let us have the paper for 2 weeks to tell it. So this is 400 pages of really in-depth coverage of Romney and Huntsman.
Well, I hear you, because I'm always asking for 30 minutes to tell my story, but I can never seem to get it. Okay, let's get into the book. Let's start, before we get into the clash, let's start with the early history. What does the book cover between the relationship of the Romneys and Huntsmans?
The interesting part is the Romney clan and the Huntsman clan, their ties go back to the founding of the LDS Church. They're actually fifth cousins through Parley P. Pratt. Your viewers have probably heard of Parley's Canyon. And so they've been there from the beginning, and they've intersected through time. You know, we found some things were pretty interesting. George Romney and John Huntsman Sr. were friends, and they both worked in the Nixon administration together. Karen Huntsman and Mitt's sister Jane were roommates up at the University of Utah.
Okay.
But Mitt and John Jr. didn't actually meet each other until they were both governors.
So let's talk about that. We have this history between the two families, and then all of a sudden Mitt Romney runs for president, and then this clash starts to develop, or this rivalry, as you call it in the title. How does that come about?
Well, there was a skirmish a little bit before that, 2002 Olympics, when who was going to head the Olympics. Mitt Romney obviously was chosen, but John Huntsman Jr. was also a possibility. But 2006 is really when the break happened. Mitt Romney thought he'd sewn up the endorsement of John Huntsman, thought he had it in the bag for him for the presidential race. And then Romney reads in the Washington Post that John Huntsman had endorsed Senator McCain. So there was a mean phone call between the two of them. Romney called with some harsh words against Huntsman. And that really escalated, as we saw in the 2012 presidential election, why John Huntsman got in when he knew Mitt Romney was going to be the lead candidate. John Huntsman got in because of that. He didn't think that Romney was the right guy.
Why did he endorse McCain over Romney? Was it all show you, or genuinely did he see more eye to eye with McCain politically, do you think?
Well, I think what you had happen in that scenario is that from the Huntsman standpoint, the Romneys took advantage of their shared history, their shared faith, the fact they came from Utah, and there was an assumption that Huntsman would just wait in the wings. Well, Huntsman wanted to be involved, so he would offer help and hear nothing back. Well, John McCain comes around and says, I want you to come to Iraq with me. I want to hear what you think about foreign policy, Mr. Huntsman. And they had a relationship built off of actually being involved in the campaign. So when Senator McCain asked Governor Huntsman at the time, will you be a part of my campaign and be a serious part of my campaign, he said yes on the spot, knowing the conflict that would create in the state.
All right, we have about a minute left. We need to get to the religion portion of this, because in the title, Mormon Rivals. So talk about the religion aspect.
And this is really one of the key aspects of the book, the idea that Romney and Huntsman show the American people that there are different kind of Mormons. They take different approaches. Romney, of course, as most of your viewers know, is a very devout Mormon. He wears it on his sleeve. He wouldn't shy away from it during the presidential campaign. Whereas John Huntsman would describe himself as culturally Mormon. His family, in some ways, takes different approaches. His daughters take a different approach to how they go to the faith. So I think Americans got to see that there are kind of cafeteria Mormons as there are cafeteria Catholics. That there are the Orthodox people, and then there's those who consider themselves more cultural. So it was a way of saying to Americans that not every Mormon they see is in a white shirt and tie and name tag, that there are different approaches.
Okay. The book is available starting today. Where can we find it? And you guys also have some book signings that we will put up on the screen here. Tell us about those.
Yeah, so we're going to have the book at every local bookstore, Sam Weller, King's English, all those for us. They're also available at all the Barnes & Nobles in the state, and in about a week they should be at Costco's as well. We have some book signings. We're also doing an event at the Leonardo on June 17th where Thomas and I will be sitting there talking about the book in detail, and that's free for anyone who wants to come. It's June 17th at 7 p.m.
We should also mention MormonRivals.com.
All right, sounds good. I have the copy of the book here. How much does it cost?
$16.99 for the print edition. There is an e-edition ebook available for $6.99.
All right, I've read the introduction. I'm looking forward to getting into the rest of it. Thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you.
Right. Emily?